Utah Gun Exchange, the nation's patriot marketplace.
We do need to get shirts with flags in multiple locations so that they're easier to see.
Yeah, that's true. So
when you're wearing the hat, you get a flag on this side, flag on that side. It's all flagged up. It's good.
our hats, some of our hats have flags and some don't, I guess.
Yeah.
Are they on the right-hand side?
Right-hand side, shirts left-hand side.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. This is the first episode of our UtahGunExchange.com video cast. We're going to be doing this every week. This is a brand new initiative for us. We're sticking our necks out quite a bit here, too, because we're doing this like continuous roll. Normally, you and I get an opportunity to hit the reverse button and push a little bit of editing, but we don't get that this time, so this is really cool.
It's one of the greatest tragedies in life, or the greatest blessings. There's no rewind button in real time.
So I thought that was one of the funniest things I've heard all day when they asked you to turn off your phone.
Yeah.
We're expecting a call from Trump any moment now.
Yeah.
Huh?
He has other ways.
Interesting set we have here.
It's pretty cool. I like the scenery.
Yeah. So they've got the Bearcat behind us. We got brand new furniture here. Is it comfortable, by the way, yours?
Very, actually, yeah.
We actually got quite a deal on these. Now that I know how much we can actually get, I would have purchased these couches instead of those other ones I got. I think I spent about $5,000 on those other couches, and these ones were maybe $1,000 or something. Great deal.
Sweet. They look awesome. And I don't know about the furniture. Maybe it's restoration hardware, but that's the best kind of hardware right there.
That's right.
One of those in the room, and it's all good.
You know what I noticed about this thing, and I may be wrong, but Sam, this is the military deployment package,
right.
Of course.
Yep.
You
Limited.
might know the answer to this. But
Uh-oh.
when you look at the rest of the Barretts that we have, they all have a nice big long optic on there. And what that always does is it doesn't leave room for the carrying handle. This is one of the nicest features of this particular gun because it's so heavy. But this carrying handle works just fine with the stock optic, the loophole. You think that's why they used, in part why they chose that?
It's a great question, and I'll look into it right after this.
Yeah, but this
vidcast.
mother's like 30 pounds when you're carrying it around, and this is really nice to have.
Yeah, I think it's nice to carry around a room or around the range. I don't think you want to be lugging that while carrying an 80-pound ruck. You know,
That's true.
It's a little bit less deployable than being able to carry it like an AR that way.
Yeah.
And they don't have carry handles anymore anyway.
Oh, they don't?
No,
Yeah,
everything's
107
flat
doesn't?
top. Yeah.
Cool.
Everything after the A2, they get rid of the carry handle. Well, it's detachable. Pretty much every gun for 10 or 15 years came with a detachable carry handle, and people are just taking them off, putting optics on the top. Now everything's optics, so no one has a handle, and manufacturers don't sell them with handles anymore. You have to go retro to get a retro AR-15 design to get a carry handle. For the most part, there's going to be exceptions to everything, obviously.
Well, so, we have multiple of these firearms, and this is the only one that we have that I'm aware of that has the handle on it. And it's the one I most like to use because it has the handle on it.
Gets a lot of mileage around the warehouse and the office. It's a nice feature.
It is a nice feature. So, now that we're sitting here, dude, and we have started this whole initiative that we're in love with called UtahGunExchange.com. Maybe we should tell everybody really, what we're doing this for. I mean, I kind of wonder sometimes because when I get done with the day, dude, I'm just... But this is our hobby. We love it. I love coming to work every day. This is the funnest job I've ever had in my life. It is the single largest business development opportunity I've ever seen. You know how excited that makes me. And we've done some big business development things in the past, and I've done some before you and I were partners. And this is the single largest opportunity, business development opportunity I've ever seen. But we got into this for one reason, and that is to spread freedom.
Absolutely, furthering the cause of freedom.
Yeah.
Not only is this a hobby and a passion, all of that is small in comparison to the importance of the real cause that we endeavor to serve, which is to further the cause of freedom in every way possible. We have lost so many rights in this country. If the founding fathers were alive today and they saw what was happening and they saw the conditions under which we live, they would be absolutely horrified.
That's right.
The question is, to me, what would they do about it? I know they wouldn't do nothing. They would do something. And we are doing something with Utah Gun Exchange and all the initiatives that we're working to put forward, the things we're doing right now with current political and social events, tragedies, all so that we can help further the cause of freedom, to maintain our rights, push our rights even further, claw back some of the rights that have been taken away, to avoid ultimately, much greater tragedies that could happen in the future. So I'm grateful every day that I get to come here, and we ought to let people know that we don't look at this as a job. It's not just a business that we own. This is a cause. It's a cause for which we serve, and many of our team members look at it the same way.
That's right.
And it's been said that people may do a good job for a job, they may be committed for the job, but no one dies for a job, nor should they. But if a cause is worthy, people will serve that at the highest level, and people will lay down their life to serve that cause because it transcends them. It's more important than them. And that's what we're doing here, and we're incredibly passionate about
That's
it.
right. And we have a lot of our employees. We basically say, gee whiz, I think they'd do this for free.
Yeah,
mean,
we've
it's
heard
really
that. Look how many volunteers we have.
Yeah, you're right.
One of our biggest challenges is sorting, the skill sets of the different volunteers that want to be a part of what we're doing because they know what we're doing.
Over 70 volunteers for the concealed carry
Yep.
class for the teachers. It was amazing. That degree of people came together in a matter of 2 or 3 days to serve our educators in that concealed carry course, and that was a beautiful thing to see. And you and I too, we have such a unique story that led us here. It's unbelievable. Just for the benefit of our audience, so they know who we are and where we come from. Sam and I are friends, lifelong friends, and we're friends of over 30. Let's see, I'm 45 now, so that's about 30 years.
I'm still 43, man.
30
Get a few more
years,
days.
Over 30 years. Maybe I've known your wife for maybe about 35 years, maybe a little more. And I just love being partners with you.
Likewise,
despite
bro.
the fact that, I
Look
yelled
at the
you
results
this
we've
morning.
had.
I'm sorry I yelled at you this morning, though.
Yeah, well,
But anyway,
I'm sorry I can be
we have the most.
challenging when I want something.
Oh, I think that's both of us.
Well, look at the results we get when that process is done, though.
That's right.
I think a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes stuff. But when we want something, it's probably good for people to know that sometimes we have differing points of view. But by the time we're done in that process, which can involve a lot of friction, because we're passionate about what we want, we ultimately get to where we want to be, even better than we had planned on before.
That's right.
And that's proven time and time again.
Well, it's incredible. We have different personalities. We have operated our businesses and our lives off of a similar set of principles.
Absolutely.
But the combination of personalities and the way we look at things and approach different opportunities, challenges, we seem to have personalities that complement each other in various ways that ultimately yield a better result. It's amazing to think the way that this all came together. We spent years making products that improve the health and the lives and the overall life experience of people around us. We sold gazillions of these things, and we're doing the best we can to serve our community and have a good, solid, legitimate business. We're getting killed by regulators. All the while, all around us, they're legalizing marijuana, and we're manufacturing health products and getting regulated out of business.
Well, we didn't.
So
we just chose to say, hey, we're tired of going uphill. Let's serve an even greater cause. We've created value nonstop for many, many people, of which many are incredibly grateful. Just received a testimonial from a guy being honored at the Arnold Classic on March 3rd.
Really?
And he attributes some of what we've done in our previous life to helping him attain the results that he has. So when Hall of Fame people are acknowledging you and your product and what you've done in terms of good, it's great. But instead of working against a headwind uphill, we've decided to go into something that we appreciate, from a hobby standpoint, and are working to serve that cause, which is far loftier a cause than
It is.
than some of the
It's
other
a
things
calling,
that
man.
we've tried. No.
So we get out of that business and we say, look, we don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we know it's going to be meaningful. And a few months later, we're negotiating our way into Utah Gun Exchange. And we decide we're going to do this for one reason and one reason only, and that is to spread freedom. And we have a business here. We have to make profits in order to perpetuate freedom. It's a wonderful life to live.
It's a good life.
It's a good life.
It's amazing. It's unreal.
So now our audience knows a little bit more about us, or about Utah Gun Exchange, why we do the things we do. Maybe we talk a little bit about ourselves. You got maybe a 30-second or 45-second bio. I know you have a 35-second bio on you because I wrote it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to write it.
But your story's fascinating, dude. Going all the way back to when you were 14 years old. You're a lifelong entrepreneur. I don't think, have you ever? Well, I guess you did work for somebody else for a little while.
Yeah, I've had some employment engagements, but I've been an entrepreneur before I knew I was an entrepreneur. Somebody had asked to video or interview me for his podcast on entrepreneurism, and his question was, did you always know that you were an entrepreneur? And I realized, no, I didn't, but looking back, I realize now that I always have been. And I think that's because of the way that entrepreneurism dovetails into freedom, which, as you know, is it's not just a cliche with me. It is incredibly important. I think that freedom, this can take more than 30 seconds, by the way.
Okay.
But freedom being one of the
Maybe
most
I'll have a
godly of
shot.
all principles, second only to love. And that is because that love will defend whatever is important to it. And so, coming back out of that process, freedom is directly tied to entrepreneurism, the ability to go and create, the ability to make things happen. And for me, I have no problem being an employee of somebody, but I know that I can always be at my best when I'm unlimited, when I'm unrestrained, and can focus on chasing the dream, chasing the goal, working to create that vision. That's where I'm at my best. And as you know, it's a 24/7, 365 thing. It's who you are, not something you say on a business card or in a bio. So
That's for sure.
that's how I feel about entrepreneurism.
Well,
Why don't
one
you talk
thing-
about your incredible background?
Yeah. Well, one thing that's for sure about us is there's always too much to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's take a little time off this summer, sharpen the saw a little bit. What did we do? We filled up our
right.
calendars.
Yeah.
But maybe, it was mountain biking or, working on a deck or something like that. But the calendar was overfilled regardless of what we're doing. And that's we kind of do that to ourselves no matter what we do.
I always say I have a genetic disorder and that I can't not be busy. That was right. I can't be unbusy, nor can you. But there's just too many good things to be done. There's too many needs to be filled in the world. And what we're doing right now is clearly one of them.
That's true. Last summer well, you're right. I tell you what, from the time I say this frequently. We're doing great things right now. I'm really, at the time that I spend during the day, I guess it's true. I feel like I've spun my wheels all day sometimes, but the matters that we are focusing our time on are important. They make a difference to the community. A little bit at a time, we're chiseling away at the people who would seek to take away our freedoms. And that's an important thing that we do all day. I'm grateful every day of my life, too. I say this frequently because, we've set up our lives in sort of a way, Sam, in the sense that from the time, well, for me personally, the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to bed at night, I'm generally spending, I'd say, 70 to 80 to 90% of my time inside a circle of trust where I don't have to worry about people sticking me in the back with a knife. That's a fantastic way to live life. Imagine if you were a DC politician or something. I mean, you spend 90% of your time around people who will jab you in the back with a knife.
Yep.
And that's not a fun life to live. We don't live that way. And that's a credit to us.
Yeah, and the incredible team we've had develop around us.
Yeah.
I'd like to say built or created, but I think it developed around us. I think there's an unseen hand at work that has pulled so many of these things together because we're working to further the right cause.
That's right.
We have unbelievable opportunities, unbelievable people, and situations that if one or two of them happened in a lifetime would be amazing. And
Completely.
we are flush with these things right now. And I think it's just, further reinforcement that we're on the right path.
Completely.
And working with so many other incredible people out there that are doing the same thing. It's good to see that in addition to us holding this massive CFP class, there's one that was held in Las Vegas recently.
That's right.
Doing the same thing. They didn't just limit it to educators and people within the education system. It was open to everyone. But hopefully what we're working on will continue to spread nationwide and into the hearts and minds of all people, not just some.
Well, and my understanding is that these guys down in Vegas kind of piggybacked on what we were doing, and they're promoting like a 50-state challenge right now. Didn't I see something like that?
Yeah, there's a meme out there. I'm not
Okay.
sure of all the details on it, but not sure what came first or how that developed. That's what I've heard, and they're challenging the other 48 states to step it up.
48 states, we challenge you. Let's have a.
Sounds good. What's better than a challenge?
50-state CFP challenge.
I love it.
I love that.
Worked for Pepsi, the whole Pepsi challenge thing.
Yeah,
50, well, it could be a 50 challenge. That's another.
there you go.
50-state challenge.
50-state challenge for a 50.
So you can get the highest percentage of the state's residency through a CFP class in 2018.
There you go.
Something like that.
That could be interesting. Well, a little bit about Brian.
You like long walks on the beach?
I love it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
let's not get started here. You know how don't tempt me. I cannot go to the beach right now. We have much more important things to do. Of course, so I went to college, got out of college, graduated in Reno, Nevada. I was a operator at a geothermal power plant there, and then came back to Utah where my family is. And, I just would never leave this place now. I love Utah. Is one of the greatest places on earth to live. They're bar none, hands down, outdoor mecca of the world.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, I worked started at EnviroCare, which then became Energy Solutions, and we did some incredible things there. I mean, so I spent a decade there. My history, I contributed to some of the most magnificent products that they ever created and helped take that company public, and they did a fantastic job. Since that time, a bunch of executives been bilking that place to death, but, whatever.
So you're saying you're not a fan of what happens when companies go public?
That's right, I know. And
Little side note.
but it gave me the training I needed to be able to get out. So when I left there in 2009, then of course started my own nuclear consulting business. Got crosswise with a couple contractors from the past, and ended up looking for something new to do, and we connected. Started MI6 Holdings and started selling health products.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Out of tragedy.
What's
out of
that?
tragedy. So our product for MI6, the key supplement, was a product of response to tragedy, celiac disease.
That's right. That's right. Your celiac.
My
disease.
celiac disease.
Yes. Your story, which we probably don't have time right now. Maybe we tell that story later. But
Yeah, later. But it's just we had an opportunity to reconnect. We created not a solution, but a manner of treatment to help people in other similar situations. So just going to this concept that we've lived by in business. When one thing happens and it seems like a tragedy, but ultimately leads to something that we would later classify as a win, how can anything ever truly be
Exactly.
bad? It's always a part of the pathway that leads us to something better. And that's why I mentioned that. We'll come back to the other stuff later. But yeah, we started MI6 2011. Please continue.
Look, it's an absolute truth that, look, I made an investment that went completely upside down on me.
Against the advice of
Against the advice of
someone.
Yeah, and but ultimately, I would pay that money 10 times over right now. I would lose that money 10 times over right now to have what we have. I would probably be. I don't know if I can handle feeling the anger and I'm so irritated and upset about that, but ultimately that leads to fantastic places, which is where we are right now.
Yep.
So. All right.
Amazing how it works out.
Yeah. So, are we ready to move on to maybe a couple of our next segments?
Yeah,
And
let's do it.
Talking about the interesting stuff.
Sounds good. We simply wanted to get together on a regular basis, let people know kind of the people behind the curtain at Utah Gun Exchange, and allow us the opportunity to be seen, sharing our views, having an open discussion as we really are and what we really think. When dealing with the public, there's so many filters that get put in place that by the time you try to convey a message, the message that can be received is something entirely different.
That's right.
We are a pro-freedom organization that includes a focus on the Second Amendment, and we want to do everything we can to bolster that. And we will continue to talk about topics associated with at least the Second Amendment, but that's really a cornerstone amendment to the entire Bill of Rights, because without that, what do people have? They can't protect their other rights. It's an absolutely necessary. So we're going to be talking about this on a regular basis, talking about current events.
Everything cool.
Yeah, featuring a lot of cool people, cool hardware.
Well, dude, basically everything we have is cool. We have cool company, cool cars, cool guns, cool videography department, cool. What's not cool?
It sounds like Tony Stark.
Everything we have has a coolness factor about it. We have cool things. We have cool big black boxes on wheels.
And we'll share some of those with the public coming up.
And I probably, I would be interested to hear a little bit about your cars while we're talking about this stuff.
Want to talk about cars now? I'm always ready to talk about cars. Let's talk about cars for future episodes.
Okay.
We'll go outside and we'll do some car episodes, with
That'd be
cars.
cool.
But
if you do more burnouts in the parking lot than I did the other night, then now we have something for the video cameras.
yeah, that would be good. That's like cost-benefit analysis type thing, though.
Well, you just
How
have to
much
throw-
rubber do we want to? That's
You
like
see all the rubber on the
Oh,
back
yeah.
end of my Corvette the other night?
that's not paint.
It's out there right now.
I saw.
Yeah. There's just rubber splattered all over the backside of that
You
wheel
did
well.
good, man. You did really good. Only problem is we had cameras rolling 3 seconds before that, and they shut down, and then you went into NASCAR, just won the Daytona 500 burnout mode, and we
That was
missed it
for
all.
my own personal pleasure. It was for nobody else but us to enjoy.
Well, we sure enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, and I think to elaborate a little bit on the purpose for these things, what we want to do here is we want to offer a window into Utah Gun Exchange. We want to offer a window into the things that are happening. It's really cool, the things that we're doing, and I think that people want to hear about it. They want to learn about what we're doing.
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered. And that's what we said when we were pulling this whole thing together. We don't want to have to look at cameras. I mean, basically, this is us. We finish the day. We come out here. We sit down. We talk about current event. What the heck is going on with our company? What's going on around us? We are operating right now in an incredibly unique environment that doesn't happen very often, but it's not unlike going back to the genesis of Utah Gun Exchange, and the tragedies that have happened with some of these school shootings. And now we're in a time where we face an incredible amount of pressure in the media and around us, with anti-Second Amendment. Matter of fact, we're going to start hopping into a little bit of this. Shall we do it? We have some guests to bring in, though, right now. Shall we bring them in?
Yeah, let's bring them in and jump into
And it's a window. When we talk about a window into Utah Gun Exchange, we're going to be bringing guests that are interesting people to meet with us to help us through these podcasts. For the first half of this, we just kind of wanted to have Sam and I and talk. And we'll see. It'll be dynamic every week, but this week, come on in, ladies. We have Joe Roberts. Joe is the president of our events group, and she's one of the most
Hey,
fantastic
Joe.
women we've ever met. And we have Haley. Come on in, Haley. Haley's a brand new hire to the company. She's a Bearcat Girl, and we wanted to. We kind of surprised these guys with this appearance today. They're not quite prepared, and they were a little bit nervous about not being prepared. And I said, well, you don't really want to be prepared, right? Because this is supposed to be
real.
Tough, right? It's real.
I want to explain what a Bearcat Girl is and what a Bearcat is, real quick.
Well, the Bearcat, I don't know if the audience can see the Bearcat, but I think that's in behind us. But basically, the purpose for that role is to be that is the master brand ambassador sales position for this company. I mean, these gals are going to be hopefully we'll present them in a manner that rises to celebrity and scarcity. They'll be at our gun shows. They'll be modeling our branded apparel. They'll be traveling with the Bearcat to promote Utah Gun Exchange. Everything Utah Gun Exchange is going to be pasted right on that little forehead of yours, and you'll be walking around representing our brand, right?
Oh, so did you get the tattoo on the forehead deal done then?
Yeah, you gotta.
You guys agree to that?
Sweet.
Sweet.
You gotta be good. No bad behavior.
You knew that was in your contract, right?
Well done.
Yeah. So, and anyways, what's kind of cool about this dynamic too is that Joe, for our audience, Joe is one of the leaders in our company. She is the most senior leader in our company, other than you and I.
Not talking about age.
The senior leadership role. Yes.
Just making that clear.
When Joe says it, boom,
That's right.
everybody goes running. Let's make it happen. But
Yeah.
she's been with us practically almost since the beginning.
Yep.
We can't say enough nice things about Joe. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Haley, who is new to Sam and I, new to Utah Gun Exchange, but she's going to be a very public figure with respect to Utah Gun Exchange. You'll be seeing her around. You'll be seeing her at our gun shows. And what I really like about you, Haley, is that we want to have personalities that people want to interact with, and I think you're that kind of personality, and so it was fun getting to know you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think people are gonna, and that's the other cool thing about Utah Gun Exchange too, is that the way that with our employees and the organization that is us, we're not, we're gun people per se, but we're not like all of us gun experts. We have people that work for us that range in expertise from having never held a firearm before all the way up through expert marksmen and Second Amendment encyclopedias like yourself. But that's Utah Gun Exchange. We're representative of the community around us.
Yeah.
And another great thing about that too, though, that I've always appreciated, because I'm probably closer to the new end than anything else, but is that you guys the environment that you've created within the company is so welcoming and non-intimidating for people that are coming on board that have no firearm experience, that, that really don't know much about the business. And that's great, because you guys want to be inclusive and informative, and I think taking away that intimidation factor for your employees is great.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. But not only do we want that here in a work environment, we want that for
In the community.
the community. We want that for everyone in this country as it relates to the Second Amendment. It's one of the things we key in on a regular basis. We want to do outreach to people who are not typically associated with the firearms community, to use that term loosely. And we want to bring more people to that banner, so that with all these people who want to shoulder the responsibility of being able to defend themselves, we remove a lot of barriers to entry to allow them to come in and do so. And not only can they come to UtahGunExchange.com to help find tools to do that, hardware tools, but we're taking it far beyond that, doing outreach and training, organization, communitization, so that we create a warm, welcoming environment for all.
Absolutely, yeah. And a perfect example of that was our last gun show. We had an entire area you guys had dedicated to women, introduction to firearms for women, safety for children, people that maybe would have not necessarily had the get up and go with to do it on their own, but you guys put that forward. It was free, and just the response from the community was just overwhelming. It was amazing. So there's that population out there that is looking for something like that, and you guys have provided that, and with the concealed carry classes and everything else y'all are doing.
It's a family experience that we're trying to put on here.
I agree with it. I haven't been here very long, but when you walk in to a company, there's always, okay, am I gonna fit in? Is there gonna be that? There was none of that coming in. It was just, hey, awesome to meet you, great to have you here. It was automatically the family experience, and everyone is for one another, and seeing everyone succeed and seeing the company become what it wants to become. And I think that's everyone's overall goal, and to see everyone come together like that, it makes you proud to come to work. And
I'm glad to hear that.
it's even
Makes the
with
commute
me.
worth it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
my
you're
hour
a 3-minute commute.
I drive an hour.
Oh yeah, that's right. You drive an hour.
But to see the difference, I think it's a big thing. I have kids.
Yeah.
And when I told my son that I got the job, to see the impact and excitement that my son had, it made me feel even more proud to be doing what I'm doing, because I'm the one who's going to be like, look at this. I get to set that example for them. I get to show them what a great company this is and be there for him, and he can pass that on through the generations. And I think that got lost somewhere along the way, and it's like, what are we doing?
Oh, that's right. Well, what we're doing here is just creating a great culture. What we're doing is a mission, it's a cause, and people that when you come to work here, you're not just. It's great. I mean, what the hell? Where else do you get to work? I mean, we have more fun, and we get to be paid to do it.
Come to work,
the best
and we can
damn
come to
life.
work barefoot.
Yeah.
What's that?
We can come to work barefoot too.
That's right.
Or wear
Sometimes
Wookiee
I come in
slippers.
bear slippers.
Wookiee slippers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wookiee slippers. My Wookiee slippers. I don't know where those are. I don't know what happened.
They're in
to
a
them.
box.
Well, my office has been moved about
You've been-
4 or 5 times in the last month, and my office is now
You're
in boxes. Right?
You're a vagrant. You've got-
I'm a vagrant.
You have an office? This is the office now.
That's what I said. I need to go get a pen. I go looking for my boxes, and all my stuff it's like in 4 or 5 different places around the office, too. So, but
That's
most of the
okay.
time I can
we
find
still
what I
love you,
need.
Brian.
What's that?
We love you, even though you don't have a place to sit.
Even though I'm a mess, I'm a wreck.
No, I really it's great. I'm excited about the concealed carry class we did, the next one coming up. It's just I think it just says a lot about how passionate you guys are about a lot of companies and management companies, it's easy to get out there and say, oh, we want to do this and we believe in this and we're going to do all these good things. But it's another thing, that's just talking points. It's another thing to follow through with that. And I see that's what you guys are doing. And that's what's exciting right now is you're passionate about it, you're serious about it, and you say you're going to do something and you do it. I think the community has just been very,
Well,
very
you're kind of like that
receptive to
yourself there, Joe. That's why we love you,
I love being here. It's a good
Well,
place
back
to
to
be.
the welcoming environment. You're a huge part of that.
No kidding.
You are maybe the most important figure as it relates, or the most influential figure in the company towards creating that home environment.
Well, I have a good experience maybe from the mom thing.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like the mom.
okay, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, you're
That
kind
is
of like the
true.
office mom.
Somebody mentioned that to me today. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was doing my mom thing. Who was I talking to? Anyway, I was like, well, yeah, I guess it's just part of me.
It might have happened more than once.
Probably so. Probably so, yeah.
Well, hey, we're a gun company. Well, I don't know. We're a family event community company. Yeah. We're doing a lot of
We're all that. We're a freedom enhancement company.
Yeah.
I think for me, though, that hits home like a lot of, I mean, I know dads are important and dads are dads, but moms are kind of different. And I think what you guys are doing hits home, especially to the female employees that you have here. A lot of us are moms and, we see what's going on and we're passionate about that. And I think it's comforting to be in a place where the people you work with and that your work family is actually doing something about it. We got
try
our
to
kids
make
out
a
there and
change.
our grandkids and everything, and all these crazy things are going on, and it's comforting to know that you're with people that are being actively.
We're fighting a good fight.
You really are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, Sam, did you want to say something? Oh,
Just giving it a thumbs up.
okay.
Big one. Thank you.
One of the things we're going to do while we're here, we'll talk about Utah Gun Exchange. We'll talk about things that are happening to the company, initiatives that we might be interested in pursuing. We will distribute information, and one of the things we want to make sure that we do when we push information out there is that we're not pushing out any unreal information. Everything that we're talking about is real.
No fake news.
No fake news here. Yeah. You mentioned Trump was going to be calling in here, so there will be no
I think
fake
we ignored his call, man. I hope not.
So anyway, I wanted to talk a bit about this latest Florida legislation that came through, and believe it or not,
Back pages.
back pages.
Back 2 pages.
Oh, the back 2 pages. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So in response to this latest tragedy, Florida has passed a law, and I wanted to highlight a couple of the bullet points associated with this law. What we're telling you guys here and telling our audience, there's no baloney in it. There's no fake news. We went to our lawyer. We asked him to take a look at this legislation and give us the highlights, the bullet points of this. So what does it do? We're not going to spread any rumors around here. But the key things to be looking at here on this Florida legislation is that, let's see, a couple things here. It restricts anyone educated mentally defective from obtaining a firearm. One thing it doesn't do is define what is mentally defective or educated mentally defective. There's a variety of definitions for that. It restricts the age of anyone to purchase a long rifle to 21 years of age or older. It has a provision to eliminate bump fire stocks, but as you noticed, or as you mentioned earlier, Sam, the key provision here is it says bump fire stocks. Bump fire stock means a conversion kit, a tool, an accessory, or a device used to alter the rate of fire of a firearm to mimic automatic weapon fire, or which is used to increase the rate of fire to faster rate than is possible for a person to fire a semi-automatic firearm unassisted by a kit, a tool, or an accessory or a device. Now your point on that is
Leaves a lot to interpretation. Somebody could read that and apply that to a custom trigger that someone would use for long range shooting, just to increase their accuracy, potentially to improve safety. And they could say, well, this trigger increases your ability to shoot faster, therefore no custom triggers allowed. And we're left with whatever the manufacturer puts in, which is obviously not good from a variety of standpoints, because stock triggers are generally not all that good.
fair enough.
But it leads to broad and beyond that, it could even be broader than that in terms of their interpretation.
Interpretation, you're right. Last thing, last major bullet point, it makes a written threat to conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism a second-degree felony. So I guess if you write on your Facebook page that you want to become a famous school shooter, that would be a second-degree felony. Of course, the FBI or somebody else would have to actually notice and do something about it. Not that they weren't aware
Right.
and able to prevent this.
Right.
And then last point about this Florida legislation is the NRA has filed a lawsuit challenging it. They're seeking a declaratory judgment declaring that that the law is unconstitutional and it also violates 14th Amendment equal protection under the law because it identifies it treats one class one way and another class another way, which is an unequal protection against the law. So anyway, I think it's a step backwards for us. What do you think, ladies?
Absolutely. I think the two things, I hadn't read about the bump stock issue, I hadn't read up on that, but the two things that kind of jumped out at me that are troublesome is, I think we all obviously are in agreement that this is a violation of our Second Amendment and 14th Amendment rights, period. Mm-hmm. But if you step aside from that, even, you look at I look at the 21 and under, if you look at the population of women 21 and under, statistically, women 21 and under are the least likely or very low likelihood of being involved in criminal, violent criminal acts or activity or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yet, through no fault of their own, they would be stripped of their rights to own or buy a firearm. And they're also statistically one of the highest victim sometimes of criminal violence.
You're right.
In that age group. And yet they're having some of their protections, their constitutional rights taken away, hypothetically, if this were to happen. So that's really bothersome to me. And then, so it's 21 and over, but if you look at all the stuff that's been going on for years with all these horrible mass shootings, the average age I think is like 34, 35. So it's not doing anything if it were to pass, which I don't see that it would, but if it were, it's not doing anything to address. It doesn't change anything for anybody over 21, which on average that's where issues have been happening in some of these cases. And then the other big thing to me is the whole mental piece of this. And I get that it's a concern. There's obviously people out there that have issues and they probably should not be allowed to purchase a firearm. But when you start, you look at where do you define it? Where do you draw the line? How are you going to define mental illness? I know plenty of people that, they maybe are bipolar or they struggle with depression on and off, or they're hyperactive or they ADHD. Where do you draw the line? And at what point can just your neighbor call because maybe he saw you get upset one day out in your yard and, kind of flip out a little bit and he's thinking, oh my gosh, this person's unstable. And he calls and, he says, oh, I think my neighbor's mentally unstable. I've saw him flip out a few times. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
So I think that's walking up a very slippery slope unless it's definitively designed. And honestly, I haven't read it in depth, but unless it specifically says something like, well, if you've been, I don't know what the right word is, but if you've been maybe committed for your own protection, or if something's actually happened and you're in treatment, or
some type of violence
yeah.
or
But to think that somebody
history.
could arbitrarily turn their neighbor in because they think that they may have an issue.
Could be used as a weapon itself.
Yeah, it's
Somebody
just,
could
it's
say,
just kind of scary.
I saw Joe, and Joe did X, Y, and Z, and so without due process,
Right, without
Joe's
that's-
firearms are taken,
exactly.
Joe's ammo's taken, and you end up in a really bad situation. Meanwhile, that person that turned you in could be the predator.
Yeah.
So, it could be the predator turning
Yeah.
potential victim into an even greater victim, in addition to the other things you mentioned. The age is really important to key into, too, the 18 to 21. It's obviously one of those provisions in there. Excellent points.
And I mean, we send our 20 or 18-year-old,
Yeah.
These are
men
the
and
kids
women
that
off.
stormed the beaches and
to- exactly. And I mean, we're still sending them off.
well, not
to-
these cupcakes these days, but back in the day when
I think
Men were
that's one
men.
of the hardest things
But we
for
do.
me.
Our young men and women are defending our country daily and losing their lives and, having their lives changed forever. But yet, and we trust them to do that. But I don't know. It's just
But
a
they
lot
can't
of,
be on our home grounds trying to defend themselves or their home or their family. They don't get that right. I think it contradicts exactly what they're trying to say it stands for.
Yeah,
I
I don't
absolutely.
see how it would ever pass, honestly. It's so
well,
blatantly.
it's now the law in Florida, and so you look at it and you say to yourself, well, it's just a positively absurd. I mean, the response to an utter and complete failure of government to prevent this they failed on so many levels. The FBI failed, the local police failed, the police failed when they showed up there to protect lives. They failed to protect the school. They failed to fortify the school. They made it a gun-free zone. They basically said, look, here's the chicken coop, for the wolf. I mean, not only do you not have to, fight your way into the chicken coop, but we'll just go ahead and tie him down for you so that you can just come in there and attack. Whatever. Take your. It's just like, it's absurd. And so the way that the government responds to that is by taking away more people's rights.
To ignore every failure of government that led up to this,
Yes.
then to blame the thing that had no
not
fault
just-
in it, but to ignore the person who perpetrated the act as well.
Exactly. And not just this incident. To me, I look back and how many years has this been going on? Since Sandy Hook or before, but that was the first really big one. And we've spent all these years, every time something like this happens, we get the gun control debate from Washington and from the media. We get the gun control debate. And then it fades away after a while. And then we have another mass shooting. And then they have the gun control debate again. And that doesn't, but yet nobody, I mean, I'm sure there's schools in some places, I know some schools have put in, or states have put in certain measures to make schools safer. But overall, there hasn't been from the federal level, okay, our schools are going to be protected and this is how we're going to do it. Whether that's a combination of armed guards, metal detectors, whatever it is, why are we this many years down the road and we've not really made our kids safer? We just continue to debate something that's not going to make them safer.
And keep
That's-
trying to take away people's rights, and we're still in the same boat. Except they just keep trying to take away when what they should be doing is going, okay, you want to come into our schools, you want to try shooting our kids in this, well, guess what? We're going to be standing right there, and we're going to fight back. And so when I was asked about, well, how do you feel about teachers being armed? For me, it was like a no-brainer. They get training, and I think that's a big misconception from some people. They don't understand. We're not just going, hey, here's a gun,
No
protect
kidding.
our kids. No, there is training. You are taught. There's so many steps, and you guys are presenting that to them. And, great if they don't have to use it, but I sure would hope that if some man, woman, whoever walked into my kid's school and there was a teacher right there, he could stop it. There wouldn't be as many casualties. You know, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's just,
Well, you know, I've been asked the question lately, and in the media and the things that we've been doing, you know, and I say, look, I have a son in the school system. I bet you feel the same way I do, Sam. If you are a teacher in the school system and you're standing in front of my son right now in school and you're packing, you're carrying a firearm, and you're ready to defend him, I say thank you.
Absolutely.
What I mean,
It's that simple. It's
Yeah.
that simple. Being a father of 3, 4, 10, and 13, it's exactly how I feel. But at the same time, I'm not personally saying we're going to arm teachers. We're allowing them the opportunity to defend not only themselves, but those they love, those they care about. And I believe that's why many teachers become teachers. It's a labor of love. They love kids. They love teaching. That is what they're engaged in. And to deny them the opportunity to defend themselves to the best of their ability, utilizing a tool, utilizing a gun, is simply irresponsible. It's anti-American in so many ways. And a lot of people want to say, well, it's going to turn our schools into war zones. We can't have that. That idea is absurd. Speaking of the USSC, a new member of the Utah School Safety Council, if I've got that right,
yeah, that's something.
said that it's absurd. The idea of arming teachers or allowing teachers to be armed is absurd. We don't have to wonder whether or not this will work. We can simply look to other places where this has already been done. In Utah, this has been done to a certain degree, and that is continuing to spread. Beyond that, if you look to Israel, there are teachers that are armed there. They don't have the school shooting problems that we're talking about. But if you look at every gun-free zone everywhere, gun-free zones are, like you described, the chicken coop, where everything is primed for the fox to come in and raid it. They can't do anything about it. So I absolutely feel that way as a father. And I think there's a lot of people that do. And
Yeah.
when the Tribune came to do an interview, they'd asked me this question: why can't we come in to the event where we're holding this massive CFP class with, around 900 people in there? And we said it's to protect the privacy of the people who have entered into, this class, because unfortunately we live in a society that claims to be tolerant, that claims to have the ability to engage in open, honest, genuine, direct conversations, but instead, if things aren't going their way, and you don't believe as they do, they want to use hate and vitriol and shame in every way possible to make people feel bad about an alternate way to go about doing something. Ways that are already traditional and proven to work and be effective.
Right. I think it's sad too that one of the things I get out of this that's been going on for the last few weeks too is, from my perspective anyway, it seems like the media they use scare tactics a lot. Like, I have a daughter that's a teacher and a son-in-law, and neither one of them have ever owned a firearm. I don't think my son-in-law has anyway. But they personally would not feel comfortable, nor would they want to take training for it, which is fine. I think the problem, though, is that the media has put this twist on it out in the public that, anybody that's for arming the teachers just, like Haley said, it's just like, oh, well, yeah, here's a gun, go do this. But what they don't understand is, I think most parents, if I still had kids in school, I have a daughter that's in school, and she's there, she's not protected. Somebody comes in, she'll do everything she can to protect her kids, but she really is not protected. Those kids are not protected. So it's like, we're just saying, the people that are proponents of this, we're not saying arm everybody that's teaching. Teachers did not go into education to have to defend their students with a firearm. Unfortunately, they didn't. That's not why they went in there. But we have so many people that are teaching, and school administrators and teachers, that already use firearms. They're ex-military. They've been in
Right.
the police force, or they shoot recreationally, and it's just their hobby, and they're trained already. They're comfortable already. They love it. They want to protect their kids. They feel comfortable doing that. And there's this huge segment of those people that are out there. There's also another segment of teachers and administrators that maybe have not, like my daughter, have not grown up with it. They're not comfortable with it, but they have a desire. They don't want to be in the chicken coop. They're like, you know what?
Completely.
I've never owned a firearm before, but
You mean
I
you don't
want,
want to be in the chicken coop?
you know, so it's like, the message should be, yeah, if you want to do this, if you feel comfortable doing it, let's set up some programs. Let's get the states to, do something. While this debate's going on in Washington, in the media, what can we do to protect our kids in the meantime?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's what
Yeah,
unbelievable,
we're helping.
We're doing it. All these politicians, they're all talking. Yeah, we're acting.
So in any scenario where any laws that are passed transpires, if we look to tomorrow, some point in the future, and there is another person in a school with a gun, a terrorist member, whoever it happens to be, it's all acts of terror anyway. But if there's anyone in a school with the gun, it won't matter how many laws were passed at that point to try and prevent this. The reality is there. The threat is real. You need that ability to be the last line of defense. And to your point, nobody is forcing teachers to do this.
Exactly.
But they should be allowed the opportunity
Exactly.
to enhance the ability to defend themselves instead of somebody forcing them not to have that ability.
Absolutely.
Implementation of force by will through law, that's evil. That is a form of evil. And when people have their opportunities removed from them, including the ability to defend themselves, which is a natural law. All animals, all plants have the ability to defend themselves through natural means. That does not have to be even acknowledged in law for that to continue to remain the case. We need to continue to support that. And nobody is forcing them.
Absolutely.
It's this volunteer groundswell movement of people, just as you described, where they're former military, and there are a lot of teachers that were former military that end up becoming teachers. It only takes a small percentage of people within those schools to be able to issue a response of force, to counter force, to be able to stop these things.
Exactly. And I think it sends a great message, what Utah Gun Exchange is doing and other groups around the country, that, you know what, we're tired of listening to you guys debate this and getting us nowhere and nothing changing. We're going to take action, and you guys have done that, and other groups have done that. And it's like, you go figure it out. But in the meantime, we're going to, because we all know that we, on a personal level, and probably, I guess, on a state level, but the private sector tends to run things and manage things much more efficiently and better than the government anyway.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you guys are taking these steps and you're providing an opportunity for teachers and students and administration, providing an opportunity to get them started down that road to be able to have a chance or an opportunity to defend, I think is great.
Well, I
Not
think-
everybody will want to
yeah.
do it or feel comfortable, but
That's okay.
I think it gives a lot of people hope again, and start believing in what America is supposed to stand for. It's like we sit here and we wait for our government or whoever else to take control, like as they say, but yet nothing is being done. And to see everyone coming together like they are in our community and giving people the option to protect and do this, I think it gives you hope. And it's like, okay, we're not defenseless. We do have the support. We do have the power to do this. And it's like, I hope I heard you guys saying, 40 more states, 48 more states,
48 state challenge. 50 state challenge.
Yeah, well, we got 2 down. So, I think it's awesome, and that's how it needs to start. And I am proud to be here to see what you guys have started, because it needs to be, let's start that chain reaction of stuff. Let's start the chain reaction of being in America again and standing for what we are supposed to stand for.
Right. Well, one thing's for sure. We are working our butts off and spending a grundle of money to benefit the community around us. It's a fair question to ask yourself in this Florida legislation thing. And say, when the hell have you ever gotten a good result from government? And in fact, nobody in Florida should be cheering the passing of this legislation. what's actually happened, and the reality is that in their haste, they've passed this legislation now, and that's it. They're done. They're done. No more legislation is forthcoming in Florida. What they've done here, you have this legislation now. They've checked the box, and there is not one damn thing in here that will prevent the next tragedy in Florida. Nothing. There is nothing in here. So they've taken away rights from people, caused a court challenge, all sorts of money is being spent, and there's not one damn thing in this legislation that will prevent a future recurrence of this. Not
Yeah.
one thing.
Well, there is a benefit to a certain segment of society with that being the case, and that is the group who wants more gun control.
That's true.
So when gun control is passed and it doesn't create the solution of providing more safety, they have another opportunity at the next point to call for more gun control, as has been the case for many decades in this country and will continue to be the case until the Second Amendment is gone. And hopefully that is never the case. And we're not going to allow that to happen on our watch. But that is their goal. They want to abolish the Second Amendment. And so, speaking of Rahm Emanuel, he said, never let a good tragedy go to waste.
That's right.
So
That's what they're doing.
that's what they're doing here. They're trying to capitalize on these tragedies to take people's rights away. And it's not going to provide safety. So people end up with neither freedom nor security. And that path will continue until people understand that they are being used as pawns in this game. And people are striking while the iron is hot, while the emotions are high, so that people act erratically, hoping to just usher in some form or feeling of safety. And they get neither.
That's the result.
We've come to a sad place. I think I look back when I was in high school, and guys would routinely go hunting in the morning before they came to school, or be ready to go when they left school, and they'd have their rifle in the pickup truck on their rack.
Right.
Half the time the car was probably unlocked.
Yeah.
Nobody ever shot anybody. There was no mass shootings, and it really, it doesn't keep our kids safe. But I think too, another big piece of this is, how have we gotten here as society? How have we gotten from, 50s and 60s mom and pop, what was the old, you guys probably don't know. I'm thinking of an old sitcom that I used to watch that was kind of the family.
Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah, that Leave It to Beaver. We've
Perfect
gone
world.
from leave it to Beaver kind of thing to this, to evil and these crazy things that are happening, and it's sad. And I don't know that we kind of overlook that. I think, number one, we want to protect our kids and make them safe first. But at the same time, we need to really look at this. We've got all these things out there that our kids are exposed to that they didn't used to be exposed to. And you have to ask yourself, is this what all is playing into this,
Completely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Agreed. Well, guys, we're a little bit over time here. For our audience, we're going to do what we can to keep these things under an hour. Not because we don't have a heck of a lot to talk about, but because if you put that up on and people see it's over an hour, then they go running for the hills. We want people to watch our show.
It's an hour long.
We can get Josh to do some editing and
Yeah, a little snippet here and there, but we don't want to do that. So next week we'll do another one of these things, and we'll be doing them every week thereafter. And if you want to know what's going on at Utah Gun Exchange, in part you'll know more about it just by watching this program, right? So, and then we plan to have new, exciting, enthusiastic guests every week. We're going to be talking about the most interesting issues going on and ongoings. And thanks for coming, ladies. Thanks for staying
thank
late.
you.
And Sam, anything else?
I think that's all for now. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have an exciting weekend. Sam's going to be out of the office next couple days. Congratulations, buddy. I'm glad you're taking a little time off.
Yeah. It'll be new territory, but
Be careful driving tonight. The weather looks a little ugly.
yeah.
Really? Wait. A whole weekend, no laptop,
No, I didn't say
no
that.
work calls.
I'll be working from elsewhere, but I'm gonna take time. I'm gonna go explore Red Rock country in a vehicle that motivates emotion, and find some windy roads and be exposed to some beautiful nature and contemplate all the different things that we have going on at Utah Gun Exchange and ways that we can really help. That's what it is. It's to liken ourselves unto tools. If you want to keep chopping, you got to sharpen the saw, or that would be cutting, I guess. But if you want to keep chopping, you got to sharpen the axe. Either way, if it's bladed, I'm happy. So I'm gonna go sharpen some tools.
Well, enjoy.
Then I'll have better analogies when I come back.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your trip, and Utah Gun Exchange out.
To all those in Second Amendment deprived states, if you're reading this, you are the resistance, and we are with you. The nation's patriot marketplace. Buy, sell, trade. UtahGunExchange.com.